What is up, people, and welcome to the start of Season 2 of the F1 2017 Career Mode. I know it's been a while since we had the finale of Season 1. Unfortunately, typically me, I got ill straight after the finale of Season 1. I had a sore throat, and of course, with commentaries and stuff like that, I kind of need my voice in order to do these, so I wasn't capable of doing that, especially after starting a new daily series as well on this channel, which if you haven't already go check out now. There'll be a link in the description and a card annotation for the Classic Championship as well. But we are back with hopefully a daily series. If I don't get ill again, we will be doing a daily series once again of the F1 2017 Career Mode. I'm just going to be smashing out the episodes for you guys and hopefully keeping some high quality in there as well. But without any further ado, let's just quickly sum up what happened in Season 1. So basically, Season 1 got off to a slow start. We really struggled in the first couple of races. Then we went to Monaco, and we actually managed to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Incredible stuff. Thanks to a lot of penalties and a good strategy, we managed to get our first win ever in this career mode. It was just an incredible result. Absolutely amazing. Then as the season went on, we got good results, we got bad results. It was a very much a mixed first season, which is not really too much of a surprise, seeing as we are driving for the Renault team. But at the end of the season, we managed to finish in P7 in the championship. I think we got 5th for Renault as well, just behind the Force India team. And we've made quite a lot of upgrades coming into today's race weekend, so we'll get onto that into a bit. But hopefully this season, the goal is sort of to beat Force India, be the best of the midfield teams, but also maybe try and challenge with the Red Bull team as well. We'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But without any further ado, let's head over to Chris and have a look at the upgrades for this season.
Hi. I've got something you'll be interested in. Those performance upgrades we discussed after the last race. They're on the car and the data looks promising. Take a look at the details.
So like I said, we have got a lot of upgrades coming into this first episode. And first of all, we upgraded the powertrain on the car. So upgrading the fuel consumption, and that's going to give us a 1.5% improvement. And yeah, hopefully that will just, make the car a little bit quicker down the straight so we can compete maybe a little bit more with the Red Bull teams and stuff like that. Aerodynamics also decided to our first ever development on the aerodynamics. We thought we'd better do the rear wing. I struggled a little bit with the rear downforce. I felt like the back end was stepping out on us quite a bit, so I felt like that was the right pathway to go. With the rear downforce, we will see how it improves the car, hopefully, in this first episode of the season. But it's interesting to see what we can do with the aerodynamics of this car, because the car is quite good in terms of aerodynamics, so we're not really too fussed about that. But, yeah, it's interesting to see what we can do. We've also upgraded the chassis weight on the car, so that's quite a good improvement for ourselves. Chassis weight is another place where we are struggling. I think we're now better in the terms of engine power than we are with chassis, so we need to sort of sort that one out now. That is the main focus for this season, sort of get both of those to catch up with the aerodynamics of the car, and hopefully we can be a little bit more competitive with the other teams around us. And we also decided, I know it's not coming up on screen yet, but we also decided to upgrade some durability on the car. I decided to upgrade the gearbox because I was struggling quite a bit with the gearbox last season. I think we took about 6 or 7 gearboxes by the end of Season 1, so that was certainly an area that we needed to improve. And I think we also improved the MG UK. I'm not 100% sure on that because it's not coming up on screen, unfortunately, but I believe I did upgrade the MG UK or the MG UH, whichever one I didn't upgrade before. I upgraded it now, and I think I may have upgraded one more thing. So it was, yes, the MG UK, I upgraded that one. So that's going to help us because we were struggling a little bit with the durability on that one. But yeah, hopefully we can improve a little bit more in terms of not having to use as many engine parts, and that will help us with penalties at the end of the season, when I think the other teams and the other drivers will be taking a lot of penalties. And there was one more upgrade, which I don't know what it was off the top of my head. No, it wasn't. Okay, that wasn't. Okay, it must have been 4 upgrades. No, that was 5. Yeah, that was 5 upgrades. So it was 2 durability ones at the end of the day. But this is the start of Season 2, and the team is looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to it. So without any further ado, let's head over to round 1, the Australian Grand Prix. Right, so after that really long-winded intro is finally over, we're here at the practice sessions for the Australian Grand Prix. And even though we've made loads of upgrades coming into this race weekend, we still need to get resource points. We still need to get as many resource points as we possibly can. So here we go, doing the track climatization, getting a purple score on that one. And that will really help us in the future of developing this car. Of course, we do want to catch up with the teams ahead of us. That's the Force Indias, the Williams, and of course the Red Bulls as well. Now jumping into the tyre wear test, we're purple at the moment, but we just about there beat the target time, which means that we do get a purple score at the end of the day, and are just managing to avoid both Daniel Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton as we go down in towards turn 1 as well. But that is another 50 points added to the bank in terms of resource points, and that will really help us, hopefully, to maybe upgrade the car after the Chinese Grand Prix. We just have to wait and see. We're doing the fuel management one as well, getting a purple score on that one too, and that will really help us out as well. So there we go. That's 3 purple scores out of 3 so far in these practice sessions, and we are very, very happy with that. Now doing the this is the race strategy test with the 5 laps, of course, but I think we're going to complete it on lap 3, which we do. There we go. Purple score on that one. Another 50 points. That is so far, if my maths is correct, that's 200 resource points out of those tests, which is really, really good news for us. So very, very happy with that, and that ends practice 1, in fact. And look where we are in the standings, in the top 10 after FP1. So it looks like the upgrades that we have put on the car are really starting to show some improvements out on track as well. As we come across the start finish line here, doing the qualifying test as well, and there we go, purple score on that one, and that will end all of the practice sessions. We're very happy with that purple score across the board, and that is the max amount of resource points that we can possibly gain. So 8th position after FP2 as well, up there with the likes of the Red Bulls, maybe a little bit off the pace of the Red Bull drivers, but up there with the Force Indias and the Williams guys as well. So very, very happy with that practice session, and that's it for practice. Let's see if we can keep up this momentum in the qualifying sessions.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly.
Here we go then, qualifying time for the Australian Grand Prix, the first qualifying session of Season 2. And we decided that we weren't going to go for too many laps in the first qualifying session because we felt that we were very quick after the practice session. So let's see what we can do here in Q1. We're going to get enough time to go for 2 laps if we need it. But here we go on our first lap in this qualifying session, down towards the line. What is the lap time going to be good enough for? It's a 1:24.531. It's 6th position at the moment. Saw the best of the rest right now. Ahead of my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg. So that's a really, really good lap. And as you can see, I have backed out of it for my second lap. And it was enough. It was enough to get into Q2 at the end of the day. We only needed that 1 lap on the ultra soft tyres. And that got us through in P8 ahead of my teammate as well. So that's really good news in the first qualifying session. Now joining myself as we go through Q2 at the moment, going down this back sort of straight curve sort of thing of the Australian Grand Prix in towards the quick left-right chicane. So here we are through the left and then through the right, clipping the apexes, taking as much of the curb as we can possibly dare and possibly be allowed without cutting the track limits. But in towards the right hand, now braking just after the 100-meter board, nice and tidy through the right, then through this fast right hand. You just want to lift off the throttle, feed the car through, and then in towards the penultimate corner. A bit of a lock-up on the front left, but it looks like we do get the car turned in nice and fine indeed into the final corner. Don't want to run it out too wide. It's very easy to do that around this circuit. Very easy to run the car out wide there, but coming across the line, it's a 1:23.548, a whole second faster than what we managed in Q1. That's an incredible lap, and will that be enough to get us into Q3? Will we even need to go for one more lap? Yes, it does. It gets us through into Q3 in 7th position. That's absolutely incredible. Smashing my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg by about 0.6 of a second. So that's a fantastic lap from myself at the end of the day. And now we've got 2 laps in this top 10 shootout to sort of see what we can do. So here we go, coming into the final 2 corners now, braking into the final one, feeding the car through, running a little bit wide there of the apex, not the best of lines, and then in towards the final corner, using all the curb and even more as we run through that corner, banging against the wall on the outside, but down across the line, and it's a 1:23.998. We know we can improve on that lap time, so that is a really, really decent lap so far to start off this Q3 session in P7, but can we get amongst the Red Bull drivers? So far, we're only just ahead of our delta time, but through the fast right hand and running it all over the curb there on the exit, then in towards the penultimate corner, nice and tidy through there. A little bit of a lock-up, but I think that sort of helped us through the corner, through the final corner now, using a little bit less curve than we did previously, and running it down towards line, 2 tenths faster than our previous best lap time. Is it enough to beat Daniel Ricciardo in this qualifying session? No, it is unfortunately not, but P7 at the end of the day is a fantastic qualifying result for us. You know, if you look at previous rounds that we had at the end of Season 1, we were really struggling in the qualifying sessions, especially as we didn't upgrade the car too much back then. But now these upgrades are looking to really suit my driving style and making me a lot faster in these qualifying sessions. So there we go, P7 at the end of the day, behind the Red Bulls, behind the Ferraris, and behind the Mercedes guys. But we weren't too far off the pace of either of the Red Bull drivers. So hopefully, within maybe about 10 races time, we could possibly start to battle those guys on the track. We will just have to wait and see at the end of the day. But that's it for the qualifying session. What can we do from P7 at the end of the day? Let's find out as we head over to the race for the Australian Grand Prix.
As the drivers complete their preparations down below us on the grid, one man who's no stranger to the pre-race pressure is Anthony Davidson, who joins me in the commentary box today. Great to have you with us, Ant. I'm sure you can tell us all about what goes through a driver's head before lights out.
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
Before we get into today's Australian Grand Prix, let's take a look at the starting order for the race. It's Lewis Hamilton who lines up in pole position, leading a Mercedes 1-2 with Valtteri Bottas in second. Then we have the Ferraris on the second row, Sebastian Vettel third and Kimi Räikkönen fourth. Then it's Max Verstappen fifth and Daniel Ricciardo in sixth. Then it's myself with a fantastic qualifying session, putting myself into P7. Then Ocon is alongside me in 8th. Maxon's 9th, Kvyat is in 10th. Lance Stroll's 11th. My teammate Nico Hülkenberg in 12th with Grosjean 13th. Sainz 14th. Then it's Perez in 15th. Massa in 16th. Alonso down 17th with Stoffel Van Dorn 18th on the grid. Then on the back of the grid, it's the two Saubers of Marcus Ericsson and Pascal Wehrlein. It's a little bit strange, in fact, to see a normal grid going into today's race. We're, of course, used to seeing a mixed-up field after penalties and stuff like that. But we are starting, nevertheless, from P7 on the grid here today after a fantastic qualifying session to start off this season. Really, really happy with that. And hopefully, we can convert that into some decent points as well. Of course, we are just going to have to wait and see on that one. But looking at the race strategy for today's race, it's going to be a case of ultra soft tyres to start with, and then going on to 2 sets of super soft tyres before the end of the race. We're also going to whack up the fuel load like we always do to be as quick as we possibly can at the start. So here we are on the grid for Season 2. As the lights come on, we get a 5 red lights. It is lights out, and Season 2 of the F1 2017 career mode is underway. And it's a great start compared to the Red Bull drive of Daniel Ricciardo. We've got the jump him going up the inside, down towards turn 1. Ricciardo fights back at us, round the outside, in towards turn 1. He's still there on the inside through turn 2, but we get the job done. Running down now in towards turn 3, on the back of Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. We decide to go side by side, down towards turn 3. We're going to back off a little bit. No point going up the inside of either of these two drivers, otherwise we will damage our front wing, and that'll be our race over. Of course, we do not want to damage our race before it's even begun. Just going to settle behind both of these drivers as we go through the fast right-hander of turn 5. Unfortunately, not able to get the jump on either of those two. Sebastian Vettel finally gets the job done on Max Verstappen through there. Once again, still following behind both of these drivers. Can we get the job done on Max Verstappen in today's race? Of course, we would love to get past the Red Bull driver, get past both the Red Bull drivers in this race. At the beginning would be absolutely fantastic, and P5 at the end of the day would be an amazing result for ourselves. In today's race, to go up the inside in towards the fast left, then right, side by side with Max Verstappen, who sort of squeezes out on the exit of the right-hander. Daniel Ricciardo gets the job done, then Esteban Ocon follows through with Kevin Magnussen getting involved as well, going down into this right-hander, braking a little bit early than both these guys, get the switchback move on them, and that's a great manoeuvre compared to Kevin Magnussen and Daniel Ricciardo side by side with the Red Bull driver, taking as much curb as we possibly can up the inside. Now around the outside of the penultimate corner, Ricciardo, a little bit of a dive bomb, having a look up the inside there of Esteban Ocon, but he finally gets the job done on me after sort of squeezing me out a little bit too wide there on the exit of the penultimate corner. And after a crazy first lap in this race, I can finally breathe once again. That was a crazy first lap for today's race, but it is not over yet. We are now hunting down Daniel Ricciardo in this Australian Grand Prix. So here we go, down in towards turn 3, and this Ocon is locked up. Ocon's locked up massively, nearly went into the back there of Esteban Ocon. We had a little look around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. These two now going side by side in towards turn 5, going to back up a little bit, then go up the inside through turn 5 on Esteban Ocon, who just goes straight into the side of me as well. Now diving up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo in towards turn 6, side by side between myself and the Red Bull driver, up the inside through this fast right-hander in towards this next chicane. It looks like we've got greater straight line speed there than the Red Bull driver. And there we go, getting the job done. Daniel Ricciardo is still there, though, on our left-hand side. We have to give him the room, running it very, very wide on the exit of that left-hander. But finally, we have got the job done. Oh my god, what an incredible opening 2 laps of Season 2 it has been. There's been overtakes galore so far in today's race, and so many battles, as we're now going to take a breather and just take a look at the replay on board with Danny Kvyat, who's way down in P10 at the moment. So going down in towards turn 1, he just goes into the back there of Esteban Ocon. A little bit too late on the brakes there for Danny Kvyat. That's damaged the front right end plate on his front wing there, and unfortunately for him, that might cost him around this circuit. Of course, aerodynamics are important, especially in this on these 2017 cars, but even more so around a circuit like Australia. So we're now cutting it to lap 5, so sort of catching up a little bit now to Max Verstappen in today's race, getting a bit of a gap to Daniel Ricciardo, as well as the safety car has been deployed in today's race. Unfortunately, it came out a little bit too late for me to make that decision to come into the pits. Unfortunately, by the time that I was just passing the pit lane entry, I thought, damn it, I should have come into the pits and gone onto a set of super soft tyres, because of course I am coming into pits on lap 7 anyway, so it doesn't matter if I make a pit stop now or on lap 7, because that will be under the safety car period. So what we're going to do is we're still going to be coming into the pits in the next couple of laps, preferably in the next lap, as long as Nico Hülkenberg doesn't come into the pits and for quite a long time and hold us up, but that shouldn't really happen anyway, as he is behind us out on circuit. But I believe it was Fernando Alonso who was the guy who DNF'd in today's race. Was there a collision between the two McLarens? No, there wasn't. So was it just a mechanical failure? Yes, it was. Okay, a mechanical failure there for Fernando Alonso in today's race. The McLaren Honda living up to its reputation and failing out on circuit. So really, really disappointing there for Fernando Alonso in the first round of Season 2. But nevertheless, we are now coming into the pits from P6 on lap 7 now of this Australian Grand Prix. So it'll be interesting to see what this strategy can do for us, because none of the other guys are deciding to come into the pits. I would have thought that maybe the guys ahead of me might decide to do the same thing as me, unless they are doing a one-stop strategy in today's race, which will be really, really weird to see, because they are starting on the ultra soft tyres as well. But they may go from ultra softs to normal softs in today's race. So yeah, we just got to wait and see what happens between those guys. We're coming out in P17. Unfortunately, I believe we could have been a little bit higher up the field if we decided to come into the pit straight away, but unfortunately that just is not the case, and we're going to have to settle for P17 at the end of the day. As the safety car is coming in this lap, there's the standings for you on the left-hand side. It's Lewis Hamilton, who is currently leading the Australian Grand Prix at this stage of the race. But we are ready to get underway once again for the Australian Grand Prix. We are green. It's Pascal Wehrlein who makes that opportunistic move up the inside there into the penultimate corner. A little bit of a correction out to the final corner from myself, threw myself into the wall there. Luckily, no damage on the front wing, but that allows Pascal Wehrlein to go for the overtake up the inside in towards turn 1. It's side by side between the two of us. I'm giving him room on the inside, now around the outside on the exit of turn 2, and it looks like with the greater straight line speed that we have on this car, we should get the position done on Pascal Wehrlein, which we do, and we hold on to P17 for the time being. Now trying to hunt down Stoffel Van Dorn in today's race. A little bit of a correction there through turn 4, but we are still on our way to catch up to the McLaren Honda. So what can we do on Stoffel Van Dorn? We need to get past these guys as soon as possible. Even though the leaders will be coming into the pits anyway for a new set of tyres, we do need to come into we do need to get past these guys as soon as possible in order to better our position. So we are right to the back of Stoffel Van Dorn. We are going to be quicker than the McLaren Honda all the way through this straight, because we have got a better engine in the back of the car. We go to the left-hand side, up the inside of Stoffel Van Dorn. He holds it, though, around the outside, then goes up the inside, down in towards that right-hander. That caused me to lose the back end all over the place. And Esteban Ocon, once again, moves into the side of me down through a corner. So Esteban Ocon getting really aggressive against myself. I don't know what problem he has against me, but in towards this fast right-hander, we finally get the job done on the Frenchman. So I'm not too sure what on earth he has against me in this race or in the season at all. I don't remember having a collision with Esteban Ocon in Season 1, but for some reason he keeps on driving into the side of me, and Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Räikkönen have now actually come into the pits. So we have moved up into P12 now for this Australian Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Räikkönen come into the pits very early on. And now we're cutting ahead to the midway stage of lap 10. Once again, going for the overtake on Stoffel Van Dorn. Up the inside, once more into the fast left, then right. This time, getting the job done on the McLaren driver. Moving up into P11 for the time being in today's race. Of course, we do have drivers once again coming into the pits, so we do have to be aware of that. So hopefully we can move up a few more positions in today's race. But for now, our target is to catch up to Marcus Ericsson and get the job done of getting past him very, very quickly indeed. So hopefully we can do it as soon as possible. As we come through the final corner now, what other drivers are coming into the pits at the moment? So we have Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel into the pits here on lap 11 of this Australian Grand Prix. So coming towards the halfway stage of the Australian Grand Prix. And so far, so good. We're running in P8 at the moment. But of course, there are going to be other drivers who are sort of out on that one-stop strategy that will get the advantage of the safety car as well. So right behind Marcus Ericsson, nearly going into the back of him as he locks up massively in towards that corner. And if you guys remember back to Season 1 Australian Grand Prix, Esteban Ocon did the exact same thing, but we went straight into the back of him in that race. Unfortunately, broke our front wing. Luckily, this time around, we did not do that exact same thing, and we managed to hold on to the car and just about get it slowed down in time. As two more drivers come into the pits now, and that moves us up into P5 for this Australian Grand Prix. We're now trying to hunt down Felipe Massa and Lance Stroll. So we've got the two Williams guys ahead of me at the moment, which is really, really tricky, because both these cars are very, very quick in a straight line. And with Felipe Massa getting DRS off Lance Stroll, but not able to go for the overtake, that makes it very difficult for myself to get the job done down the straights. Look at the distance that Felipe Massa is gaining on us all the way down in towards turn 1 as he gains on his teammate with the DRS. But luckily, we're very good under braking to be able to catch up to Felipe Massa. So a great exit out of turn 2, and that may give us the opportunity to dive it up the inside in towards turn 3 on Felipe Massa. Here we go, big old dive bomb move on the Williams driver. A little bit of contact between the two of us. I was very, very aggressive there. A huge dive bomb maneuver. I know some of you guys will not like that I made that overtake, but I need to get the job done because Massa, Stroll, Hulkenberg, and I believe Roman Grosjean ahead of me as well are all doing the one-stop strategy. So I need to get past those guys as soon as possible. Otherwise, they're going to beat me in today's race. Regardless of what happens to the leaders, these guys will still beat me. So I need to get past them as soon as I possibly can. So my teammate Nico Hulkenberg comes into the pits now. So that means I'm going to move up into P2 definitely. And it is Roman Grosjean ahead of us as well. So he's just come into the pits too. And that moves us up into second place for this Australian Grand Prix. And now I'm right on the tail of Lance Stroll, going down in towards turn 3, where I made the overtake on Felipe Massa. Can I do a similar maneuver on his teammate? Yes, we can, up the inside of Lance Stroll. It's side by side between the two of us. We squeeze him out on the exit of turn 3 as Marcus Ericsson is now out of this Australian Grand Prix. So that is really interesting there. Marcus Ericsson now out of the Australian Grand Prix. It'd be interesting to see what's happened to the Sauber driver, but nevertheless we have moved up into the lead of today's race ahead of Lance Stroll, and look who else is behind us. It's Sebastian Vettel in that Ferrari. But now let's take a little bit of a breather. Let's watch what's happened to the Sauber driver of Marcus Ericsson in today's race. Of course, he is no longer in the running order. So what happened to the Sauber driver as he's going through the final couple of corners now, and it just looks like it's a mechanical failure. It's just a mechanical failure there for the Sauber driver, unfortunately, and that has put him out of today's race. A disappointment there for Marcus Ericsson, but we're using this opportunity of the yellow flag coming out to sort of slow down the field a little bit through that final sector, and we are deciding to come into the pit lane. And following us into the pits as well is the Williams of Lance Stroll and a Mercedes, which I believe is Lewis Hamilton. I'm not 100% sure on that because I couldn't quite make out the helmet in the distance, but I believe it is Lewis Hamilton in today's race as we get the car serviced by the Renault crew, and it's a 2.2 second stop there. So really quick pit stop to start off season 2 of the career mode. And whereabouts is that going to put us in the standing order? It's P6 at the moment. Will we come out just ahead of Carlos Sainz down in towards turn 1? Yes, we do, but he's going to have a great run on us all the way down in towards turn 3 as well. So here we go, Carlos Sainz right on the back of me, down in towards turn 3. He's on the left-hand side. Can he get the job done around the outside through turn 3? He's going to try. We squeeze him out. A little bit of contact there between the two of us, but we get the job done through turn 4, and we hold on to P6. Now, our task is to push like hell and try and catch up to Romain Grosjean, Nico Hülkenberg, Sergio Perez, and I think that is the only guys that are ahead of me on the one-stop strategy. Of course, you've got the likes of Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen ahead of me as well, but those two guys are going to be a little bit more difficult to overtake in today's race. The safety car's being deployed for the second time in today's race, and it's the other McLaren Honda who has brought out the safety car. Stoffel Van Dorn now out of today's race, so it'll be interesting to see what has happened to the McLaren driver. But what we do know is the safety car has been deployed for the second time. We're not going to be making a pit stop in today's race, even though it is tempting to maybe come on to a set of ultra soft tyres, but unfortunately we just lose too much time, too much ground, and too many positions to really make that gamble. So we are watching on board now with Stoffel Van Dorn. So what happened to the McLaren driver? Was there an incident with the Sauber behind him? Did he go for the overtake and there was contact between the two of them, or was it just a mechanical failure for the McLaren driver? Here we go, down in towards turn 1. Yes, look at the engine. It's just blown out straight away in the first round of this season. So the McLaren Honda still having their issues with the engine, and that was why the safety car has been deployed here today. So the safety car now coming in on lap 23. We've got the standings once again on the left-hand side of your screen. So Sebastian Vettel currently leading the way at the moment with Max Verstappen in second. Nico Hülkenberg currently on the podium, and that would be his first ever podium in Formula 1 if he can achieve it. Sergio Perez currently in P4 as well, Romain Grosjean 5th. There's myself in 6th. Valtteri Bottas behind me in P7, but he has got a penalty, I think a drive-through penalty that he needs to take after the safety car, so we don't have to worry about him. And Felipe Massa currently in P8 as we're coming through the final corner. And now we need to get past Romain Grosjean as soon as the safety car has come in, and it is in now. We are green and we are racing once more at the Australian Grand Prix. It's not the best of restarts from myself. We've got a little bit of gap there to Romain Grosjean in today's race, but we're very good under brakes. We could possibly catch him up through turn 1 and turn 2. So here we are on the back of Romain Grosjean, so much closer than we were earlier on as we went down in towards turn 1. So here we are on the back of Romain Grosjean, possibly going to dive it up the inside, down in towards turn 3. Here we are under braking so much later and just going once again wheel to wheel into the side of Romain Grosjean. I'm so sorry for how aggressive I am being in the opening round of this season. I know some of you guys probably do not like that and you are going to get frustrated at it, but I do need to get these overtakes as soon as possible. I do not want Nico Hülkenberg beating me in the first round of this season. Sergio Perez down in towards turn 6, locks up there massively, and that gives me a great opportunity, and I've taken it. He left the gap, I took it, and we are now up into P4 of this Australian Grand Prix. And look who is up next. I said I didn't want to be beaten by my teammates, and he is the next driver on my radar. Nico Hülkenberg currently running in P3. I don't want him to get the first podium of the season. I want to get the first podium of the season. So here we are now batting for P2 with Max Verstappen as well. So Max Verstappen not too far ahead of us. I believe he is on the soft tyres as well. So this will be a great opportunity for me to get maybe up into P2 as well in this race. And if I can help Nico Hülkenberg get past Max Verstappen too, then it could be a double Renault podium, which would be absolutely amazing in today's race. But at the moment, using DRS on my teammate down in towards turn 3. Will we go for a dive bomb move on my teammate, which we do, up the inside of Nico Hülkenberg? I think there might have been a tiny amount of contact between the two of us. We tried it around the outside turn 4, but unfortunately it did not work out for ourselves. So unfortunately there, Nico Hülkenberg holding on to P3 for the time being. Being very aggressive in today's race. There's not long left to go in this Australian Grand Prix, so we do need to get the overtake done as soon as possible if we want to. The yellow flag is out. Max Verstappen is out of the Australian Grand Prix, and at the moment it is a Renault double podium. Oh my god, what a fantastic start to the season this could be if we can just stay where we are. Nico Hülkenberg currently in second, I'm in third, and that is going to be a double podium for the Renault team. But this race is not done. I do not want Nico Hülkenberg beating me. I'm going to hunt him down and try my best to try and get that second place. We're watching on board now with Max Verstappen, a replay, and he just darts over to the right hand side. His car gives up on him, and just like in real life F1, Max Verstappen can't finish a race. Unfortunately, he cannot finish a race as we now cut ahead to the final lap of this Australian Grand Prix. The gap between myself and Nico Hülkenberg at the moment looks to be around a second out on track. And can we catch up and possibly overtake my teammate? This is going to be our best opportunity down in towards turn 3, but it looks like we're just a little bit too far away from my teammate, unfortunately. Here we go, down in towards turn 3, under braking. Not close enough not close enough to go for the overtake on Nico Hulkenberg through turn 4 and down into the fast right-hander of turn 5. Still not yet close enough to Nico Hulkenberg to pounce on my Renault teammate. We are running in standard mixed revs at the moment, just to try and save a little bit of fuel towards the end of the race. Of course, we do want to be as quick as we possibly can right at the end of the race to get the jump on Nico Hulkenberg if we possibly can. In towards this back straight now. We're a little bit closer to my teammate than we were previously on this lap. The gap probably about 5/10 of a second between the two of us. If we can gain through this fast left, then we can possibly have a great opportunity of going for the overtake on Nico Hulkenberg. Here we are on the back of my teammate, then down in towards the right-hander. Can we dive it up the inside? Nico Hulkenberg very late on the brakes up the inside of Hulkenberg, but he holds his ground around the outside of that corner, still able to hold on to P2, and we are still right on the back of him once again. Gonna go for the dive bomb up the inside, so late on the brakes, locking up massively into the penultimate corner. Nico Hulkenberg still ahead of us. We back off. He's gone for the inside line, gone for the switchback maneuver on Nico Hulkenberg. It's a sprint down towards the line. Who's going to get P2 at the end of the day? And I think we did it right at the death of the Australian Grand Prix. Yes, we did. P2, and what a fantastic result. Oh my god, what a race. What a race that was. That was absolutely incredible stuff. The fight at the end between myself and Nico Hulkenberg, it had an incredible opening 2 laps and it had an incredible final 2 laps as well. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing racing from both Nico Hulkenberg and myself right at the end of today's race. And we come out of it on top, beating Nico Hulkenberg by 16 thousandths of a second at the end of the day. Incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff between the two of us. It was a photo finish, but that switchback maneuver through the final corner got the job done. I knew it was on the outside. I knew I wouldn't be able to hold it around the outside through that corner. It's my best opportunity because he was on the inside. He had to back out of it because it's a very difficult line through that final corner. I knew he would have lifted off, so I lifted off early and then just planted my foot down all the way through that corner. Got the job done. And that was absolutely incredible stuff. We have beaten my teammate. It's 1-0. It is 1-0 to me going into the teammate battle of the first round. If we can have a teammate battle like that throughout the whole entire season without hitting each other, that'll be incredible stuff. That'll be absolutely incredible stuff. But Sebastian Vettel, we completely forgot about him. Sebastian Vettel does win today's Australian Grand Prix. It is a victory to the reigning world champion. Myself in second, Hulkenberg third, Perez in 4th, and Roman Grosjean in 5th, with Felipe Massa then 6th, Lewis Hamilton 7th, Kimi Räikkönen 8th, Esteban Ocon in 9th, and Carlos Sainz getting the final championship point here today. So a really mixed up field at the end of this Australian Grand Prix. Those 2 safety cars really helping out the guys on the one-stop strategy, and that's why it made it so difficult for me to get up into P2. And I'm not too sure what would have happened if the safety car didn't come out. I think the best result that I possibly could have got would have been around maybe 5th or 6th where I was running before the safety car indeed did come out. But then it was Lance Stroll in P11, Daniel Ricciardo missing out on points here today in P12, and Kevin Magnussen down in 13th place as well. Further down the field then, Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes way down the field in P14 after getting that penalty for, I believe it was speeding under the safety car. Not too sure what he actually did, but he got a penalty for speeding under the safety car. Unfortunately, Pascal Wehrlein, he finishes down in 15th place with Daniel Kvyat in 16th. And then Max Verstappen, the first of our DNFs, with Stoffel Van Dorn, Marcus Ericsson, and Fernando Alonso all joining him. The championship standings then after the first round of the season look exactly the same as the race standings as well. Both the Renault drivers up in the top 3 at the moment. Myself in second and Nico Hulkenberg in third. If we can stay there by the end of the season, that'll be absolutely incredible. But I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. We're just going to have to wait and see, but I do not believe that is going to happen. And then taking a look at the constructors standings as well. And look at that. After a fantastic 2-3 here today, Renault are now leading the Constructors' Championship after round 1. Oh my god, that could be incredible stuff if we win the Constructors' Championship. Of course, I don't think it's going to happen, and you're going to have Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull come back at us over the course of the season. But I like the look of that at the moment, and I'm just going to enjoy being at the top of the standings right now. Of course, the gap to Ferrari at the moment is only 4 points, so those guys should come back at us at the Chinese Grand Prix. But that's it for the first round of Season 2, and what an incredible opener it has been. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. And I'll see you next time for round 2, the Chinese Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.